What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Hello, 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 and good evening, good morning, good afternoon, or whatever time zone it is for you right now by the time you're watching this video. But hello, hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of my Zelda podcast, the Kokiri Chronicles. Last time, I got to sit down here and to discuss the lore of the dungeons in Twilight Princess. It was really fun talking about Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess is a really beloved game. I mean, who does not love Twilight Princess? I mean, I really love Twilight Princess. Maybe you like Twilight Princess, but I really do like Twilight Princess, especially their dungeons. But anyway, we got a brand new episode for you today. And if you guys are enjoying the content, if you love all things Zelda, please don't forget to do the following by liking, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff, as it really helps me out. But you should definitely subscribe, especially if you love Zelda. So, I have a very, very special guest today. Joining me on the show, he is a really good friend of mine. Since we are talking about Majora's Mask, he is the biggest Majora's Mask fan that I know. I personally say he's a Majora's Mask enthusiast, but that's just me. So please give it up for Sora850. Hello, Sora.
Hello, hello, hello.
And how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Nice. We love to hear this. So we do hear that you are a Majora's Mask enthusiast, right? Or at least
Really?
That's what I call you.
Really? Who told you that?
Somebody did.
Well, they lied. No, I'm kidding.
Well, they lie. Well, what I mean is you're just a really big Majora's Mask fan. Like, this is when it comes to Zelda, this is your child.
Yes, Majora's Mask is my child.
Yes, it's your sweet...
My bread and butter, so to speak.
Yes, the sweet child. Yes, your sweet child of yours. So anyway, since we are going to be talking about Majora's Mask and all, Sora, we're going to be talking about one of the most interesting topics that's definitely has been around for a long time. Like, I've seen people talk about it on the internet. I've seen YouTube videos on it. So, we are going to be discussing the 5 stages of grief in Majora's Mask. Now, before we get into it, I definitely want to know what is your take on this topic, on like people discussing like how the 5 stages of grief actually correlate to Majora's Mask.
The 5 stages of grief definitely center this game's entire story, and one thing that I absolutely know about this, every main area in the game represents one of those 5 stages.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with you. You know, like there's a lot of scenarios going on, like how each of the 5 locations that you visit throughout Termina, heck, it can probably be somewhere else in Termina that definitely shows like examples of one of the 5 stages in grief, and I'm pretty sure Aonuma definitely said it himself. Okay, I'm gonna be for real. I actually almost said Nomura back there, but we're not talking about a Kingdom Hearts game.
I knew Nomura was secretly involved.
I know, like,
He's the real reason.
Here's a question of the day for those of you guys watching this video. What do you guys think would be Tetsuya Nomura's favorite Zelda game? Do you think it'd be Majora's Mask?
Of course it would.
Or something else? But anyway, so I'm trying to remember if there was something in an interview to where Aonuma talked about the 5 stages of grief, like, and how it probably like relates to Majora's Mask. So it probably might be something out there. I mean, but I'm sure he might agree with it, or he say, "Oh, well, we tried this. We tried to get into more deep with the characters and all that kind of stuff." But yeah, you know, Aonuma, he definitely has his answers and all that.
Funny that you say that, actually, because I was kind of looking into this before I had a chance to call, and I actually found something on this. Apparently, the 5 stages of grief, while they do play a huge role in each of the major areas, apparently the 5 stages of grief themselves was not intended. That it just happened to happen that way.
So is that what Aonuma said in an interview?
Yeah, from what I read.
Very, very interesting. I definitely do like that. You know, because go ahead, sorry.
You're good. What I was gonna say is, from what I researched, it was stated by Aonuma that he wanted each of the main areas to focus on a specific emotion, but these emotions just happen to line up with the 5 stages of grief.
Hmm.
But the
Yeah,
emotions were what was intentional.
yeah, I can I can totally do understand it because like I feel like that like each area that you visit in the game is like there's always an emotion going on, you know, which honestly we are definitely going to get into that, definitely pretty soon. But I definitely do want to talk about like what are the 5 stages of grief. Now of course obviously there's 5 of them. So the 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And what are they?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so denial it's kind of like a phase you go through where you feel like you can't accept when you can't accept the reality of something. Like if you're going through some troubling issues, you know, or is there something that you don't believe, you know, you kind of be like no, 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 that's not true, you know. I can't believe this is I can't believe this is really happening, you know. You know, people go to that phase when in terms of denial. Um, and then with anger is where you have like a lot like it's kind of like this. You have like this built up energy inside you to where you feel like you feel mad, you feel frustrated, you let out all this energy inside of you through where you say where if something's going on and you're just like wait, for real? That's not fair, you know. And then bargaining is like, how do I put it? I feel that so like bargaining is kind of like a way, and feel free to correct me, Sora. It's like another way of like finding another way out of a solution. So you're trying to think like, if only this happened, you know, then this would be the other way around, or what if this possible outcome happened, you know?
Yeah, you're right there, but bargaining also has another it has another meaning as well. Like it literally means as well to make a bargain.
Yeah, that is actually
Like
true.
yeah, like a trade deal per se.
Yes.
And there is a really good example that I can throw in there, but we'll wait until we actually reach that stage before I say it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course everybody knows about depression where, you know, you feel quiet, you're really sad, you're just like you're going to like a state of withdrawal, you know, you feel a lot of like you kind of feel like a bit of coldness in your heart, you know, with
Hmm.
depression. And then acceptance is where you actually are accepting reality. Like you're accepting fate of something that is going to happen or in terms of any sort of solution whatsoever, you're just accepting that reality. So it can be like, you know, like whether you like this problem or not, you definitely choose to accept it.
Yep,
Yeah,
hit
so
the nail on the head there.
exactly. Exactly. So that is the 5 stages of grief. So what we're going to do is we are definitely going to talk about um, the 5 stages of grief, and we're going to discuss each one and how they correlate and connect to the events in Majora's Mask. So why don't we dive in to the first one, Sora? So we're going to talk about denial. So I'm going to go in and let you go first on some things that you probably found that relate to denial in Majora's Mask, and then I'll share with you what I have.
Okay. So some of what I'm actually going to say is actually listed on ZeldaDungeon.net, so I'm going to be pulling some of my sources from there, but
Okay.
I do kind of have my own thoughts on this too.
All right.
So, starting with, like you said, denial, stage 1. This is, of course, represented by Clocktown. The Clocktown and its residents show denial. There is a huge moon right above them, rumored to fall, but they all continue with their daily routines like nothing is wrong. Nobody will even order a mandatory evacuation of the town because Muto, the head carpenter, doesn't want the Carnival of Time cancelled. That is stated on Zelda Dungeons thing
Okay.
there, but I kind of have more to say with the denial thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, like, this thing is definitely correct when it says nobody will even order a mandatory evacuation, because it's not just the carpenter. Many people won't order one.
Yeah.
And like, take the male dude for example. He doesn't want to evacuate at all.
Mm-hmm.
And like, he eventually does if you do the Andrew Cafe side quest, and he finally feels like he can. But aside from that, we have the milk bar. Like, the owner there won't evacuate. Almost nobody there will evacuate, as a matter of fact. And talking to each of the residents, you will find that most of them are aware of the moon, but are in constant living, like, literal denial. Some of them think it's just gonna go away, some of them think it won't fall at all, so on and so forth. Which is kind of crazy to me, because I'm sitting here like, how can you deny this thing when it's literally right there staring you down with this angry face?
Right?
Like, I'm just saying, if it were me and I saw that thing, I'd be running.
Right? I'd be running too. Yeah. You know what, Sora? You actually do bring us some very good points. You know, and honestly, you've definitely said a lot of stuff that I was thinking about. I was going to say, because you are,
Oh, wow.
because you're honestly right. You know, because like when you play Majora's Mask, you have a lot of the residents like in Clocktown or just anywhere else outside of Clocktown who are just in complete denial that this is happening. Like for example, you brought up Muto, the carpenter, I was like, no, on with the carnival of time. That moon's not gonna fall. You know, and then and honestly, this is definitely the same topic that is even brought up in the mayor's office. You know, during the conference room. You have two different parties. You have the guards and you have the carpenters. The guards seem like, you know, like, hey, we got to evacuate, you know, for the sake of our loved ones and our families, and the carpenters are always like, it's like, ah, pooh. I made fun of that sounding too. But yeah, they just like, yeah, we're gonna keep going on with the show, you know, on with the carnival time, 3 days, you know. Because I can definitely understand where these people are coming from, because, you know, the carnival time is like, it's really important to them, you know, like, you know, they're celebrating like these four giants that are like gods or deities to them, like as giving thanks, you know, like a celebration to like for them of these four protecting their land. So it's very understanding, like, and I feel like my theory is it can be in complete denial, because probably to me, these people probably feel like, hey, you know, we got these four giants. These are our guardians. These are our protectors. So, like, if something like this were to happen, no problem. Or the four giants are going to take care of it. And then later on in the game, when we actually free them, what do? They actually put their hands on the moon that's about to crash and fall, and they actually save and protect everybody. So maybe that's definitely is a good reason why these characters definitely are. Well, most of them throughout Majora's Mask are just in complete denial, because they have a lot of faith in these four giants, and this definitely has been stated over in Anja's grandmother's one of the stories from Anja's grandmother, you know, the one about the imp and the four giants, because like she mentioned about like how the people in Clocktown, they celebrate the carnival of time as like a thank you and a celebration for these giants protecting their home. So that's definitely why I believe that they're in denial, because, like, you know, our giants, yeah, they got it. Yeah, they'll take care of it. We're gonna be okay. But what do you think, Sora? That is definitely my theory. Do you believe that's why these people are in denial? Because they have a lot of strong faith in their guardians or the deity of the four giants?
I think faith has a lot to do with it, but I also think fear has a lot to do with it too. And the reason I say that is because you can tell just from the expressions that some of these characters give that while they are denying it, they are literally trembling. It's kind of a horrid sight to see at times, I won't lie.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. Yeah, I can definitely give you one example of trembling. I mean, obviously we've seen it from the postman, as what you mentioned, saying like when he's like, no, I must flee, but the schedule says I gotta keep going. I mean, honestly, you got like the guy who runs the swordsman school, you know, where he's like, oh yeah, I'll definitely.
Yep.
He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna chop the moon off. And then when you visit on the third and final day, when everybody's like gone and running away, you know, there's a sign saying like, I am gone. And once you climb on that counter of his, you just see him like he's like shaking and panicking in fear. He's like, no, I was wrong.
Yeah, he's just cowering in the back, basically screaming like, "Save me, please, help me, whatever." Like, I'm just like, dude, I get it. You were literally me if I was in that situation.
Right? Oh my god.
But also,
go ahead.
I also have a couple more thoughts on the subject here.
Yes.
First off, back to the mayor's discussion, like the discussion in the mayor's office, rather. I find it funny that while the men were having like their back and forth on it, the mayor's just kind of sitting there frozen, like,
Yeah, Mayor Dotor is just frozen in fear. He's just like, well, and then of course and I mean, you can honestly calm the situation by wearing the couple's masks, you know.
Yeah, easily, because like everyone's like, the couple's mask. We should all love each other. I'm just like, yeah, you should.
But honestly, yeah, I can definitely say that denial definitely plays a big, huge part in this game, especially with people like freaking out over this. But my theory is, I think like I definitely see where you're going with Sora, but I feel like these people, you know, like yeah, they definitely are in fear. They're afraid, you know, but some of them are in complete denial. It's like, no, this is not going to happen. And again, that fury is alone. It's just like, yeah, our guardians, the four giants. Yeah, they'll take care of us. Yeah, we're going to be just fine. They got it.
Yeah, and then like by the third day, most of them succumb to that fear because they see how close them has actually gotten, and finally they just kind of break down.
Yeah, everybody just starts breaking down. Well, majority of them just start breaking down and start panicking. It's like, it's just really sad when you do think about it.
Yep. And also, my second point before we move on from the denial thing. I literally had it and I just lost it.
No, if it definitely comes to mind, just definitely let me know.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, yes, tell me.
I was going to say, at the end of the game, when the Giants actually do, like, hold it up and then the moon fades after you beat Majora, I can literally imagine everyone in denial just going, like, I told you so!
And it's like, I told you so. It's like, see, I told you our four giants will take care of it.
You didn't believe me, but I was right.
Okay, so we definitely talked about denial, so now we're going to talk about anger. And I don't know about you, Sora, but I feel like that I see this quite often, a lot in Majora's Mask. I see this quite often, and from the
angry people.
Oh yeah, we're gonna dive into anger. So definitely one of them is being the happy mask salesman. So of course, you know, there's a lot of mystery to this man. You know, he's a mysterious man. He's a man who seems to be knowledgeable, who seems to know more than meets the eye. I mean, like, there's a man behind that crazy smile who seems to know a lot of things, but right behind that goofy smile is a man who gets angry, because one of them for starters is like right after you get the Ocarina of Time back, and he promises you he's like, yeah, I'm gonna help you, but you gotta get the item that was stolen from me. And he teaches you one of the most powerful songs in the game, which is the Song of Healing. And then when you...
I wonder how he knows that song.
That's a really good question. You know, it's kind of crazy questions like, how does he know it? And then he goes on, it's like, so, my mask, did you get it back? And then when you tell him no, that's when he starts getting mad. He's like, what have you done to me? You know, it's like,
he picks Link up by the shoulders and just violently shakes him.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
bro. And he gets angry, and he's like, you better fix this, otherwise terrible things are gonna happen. So we definitely see one example of anger. Another piece of anger. I don't know if this will count, but I definitely want to say Gorman. He's always looking angry all the time for a country bumpkin. You know, Gorman's always looking angry. Like when you talk to him, he's like, move out of the way. You know, I have no business with you. You know, because all he cares about is like money and greed. You know, I mean, and that's just all the like both Gorman and his brothers. They all, you know, they care about greed, and they're all full of greed. You know, and then another character that I wanted to bring up to you was the Guru Man. So when you visit him at the laundry pool at night, you know, he talks about like, oh yeah, you know, I wanted to be part of this animal troupe. You know, I thought I could be a performer, and I thought they would well in that, but I just realized it was only for animals, and the dog is the leader, and you can see the frustration in his face, especially when he's playing his music box mad. Like, he's playing his music box so angry, he's like, why is the dog a leader? Why is the dog a leader? That's not fair! Well, you know what? You know that dog mask? I stole it. Yeah, I stole it! Because it's not fair. It's not fair that they couldn't put a human in it. But no, they don't want to put a human in it. They had to make the dog a leader. So you know that mask? I stole it.
Dude has issues, I swear.
He really does have issues. But I feel like the main central point of anger definitely comes from the Deku King and the Southern Swamp. So
I was actually gonna bring that up.
Yeah, so but honestly, there is a lot of people and there's quite a few number of people in the Southern Swamp who are angry. We can definitely talk about Tingle's father, you know, the guy who definitely runs like the Swamp Tourist Guide, you know. He's like, oh blimey, where's my son? You know, he's all dressing up like a fairy, he's acting childish, all his fantasies and stuff, you know. He's like, and the fact that he's just an angry parent who's just very disappointed in his kid, which is definitely says a lot. And then you have the Potion Sisters, Koyumi and Kotake. You know, they're like, oh, where's my sister? You know, she's late. She's supposed to be here. And then when you find out that one of them is attacked, you're just like, hey, hurry up. Give the potion to her now. But the main centerpiece, the nail to the coffin, is the Deku King. So, obviously the Dekus learn that one of the members of the Deku royal family has been kidnapped. And the Deku King goes just in anger and frustration. He just pins it on an innocent little monkey, or what they call in this game the foolish monkey. He pins it on a little monkey, and even the monkey himself is angry because when you go talk to him, he's like, hey, they say that I kidnapped her. I didn't do anything, so why am I here? And
Deku King wanted to make monkey soup out of him.
I know, he definitely wanted to dunk the monkey. But honestly, like, there's a lot of anger definitely going on. And, like, heck, even the butler herself picks up on it. He's like, oh, I have a lot of weirdness going on with the state of the kingdom now that the Deku princess is gone. And, like, heck, even the Deku princess herself gets angry. She's angry, frustrated when you bring her back because she sees, like, how ridiculous her father is being. Like, she's over here stomping and jumping on him, and she looks at the guards, and she's like, what do you think you're doing? Let that monkey go now. You know? I
always find it so funny when she gets so mad, she literally jumps on the Deku King and just beats the living crap out of him. I'm just like, you had no chill, but you know what? You earned that moment.
So I'm kind of curious, Sora. What is your thoughts on anger in Majora's Mask? Is there anything that you would like to add on, or something that you thought of? You know.
Well, it was kind of touched on already, but the swamp area is the area that actually represents anger. But I don't know if you paid attention to this detail.
Oh, tell me.
So, we already brought up all of the Deku are just straight up pissed off. Literally all of them. And of course, the Deku King, pissed off. They think the monkey kidnapped and killed the princess and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, did you know they got so angry that they actually forgot about the moon?
Yeah. They actually did.
They became unaware that the moon was even there.
Yeah, like honestly, like when you actually talk to them in the Deku Palace, they have no idea what is honestly going on. Because like even after you defeat Odoa and rescue the princess, they're like, oh, thank you, like, and then they're like, oh, the kingdom is back to normal, and they're like, and they know, and they have no idea what's going on. They have no idea that there's a giant moon in the sky was ready to drop and just fucking kill everybody. They are so clueless as to what is going on.
And here's an interesting little tidbit that I picked up from Zelda Dungeon, actually.
Okay.
So, as you know, completing Woodfall Temple gets rid of all the poison and stuff.
Correct.
And as a result, like, everything's chill, and if I remember correctly, the Deku do become aware of the moon again.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, from what I'm reading here, I really love the symbolism. Whenever you complete the Woodfall Temple and all the poison is gone, it's literally a symbolism of purging all of the negativity and anger.
Oh, you know, that definitely does make a lot of sense because, you know, think about it. It's like I was saying earlier, like, you know, you see like the Deku guards are so happy, like, you know, they don't kick out the foolish monkey who is still in the Deku Palace, even though he's freed and let go, and everybody seems happy, like you know, like the Deku princess, like, you know, she's like, you know, Link, you know, our butler definitely seems to be taking a liking to you, you know, and yeah, you know, you race him for fun, you know, inside the Deku Shrine. And he's like, oh, like, when I race with you, I think of my son. Like, yeah, he doesn't sound upset or anything. But honestly, yeah, he does have a soft spot for you. Because, like, he definitely does miss, like, his son. Which later on in the end of the game, we see that he's pretty much mourning for his son. Which is sad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's, like, a lot of happiness going on. Like heck, even the Swamp Tours guy is all... You know, he's all happy. He's like, oh yeah, the contest and everything. You know, and like, heck, even giving you like a swamp tour guide for free. Like having you to take it for free, and you get to play a mini game with one of the witches. You know, just to get a piece of heart. Of course, okay. I want to know, Sora, how many times have you actually hit her on purpose with your bow?
There was one time where I literally kept shooting her until she landed in the water, then she got pissed. We don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it. Yeah, I definitely will say that definitely covers anger.
Yeah.
That would definitely...
I would say so.
Okay, so now for our next one, we are going to discuss bargaining. We're going to discuss bargaining, and there's definitely quite a few numbers of bargaining, over in the mountain village in the Snowhead territory. So one thing to keep in mind with the home of the Gorons, honestly, in Snowhead there's definitely a lot going on. You know, it's pretty quiet. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, Snowhead used to be like this spring peaceful area, right? You know, we're talking about green grass, a waterfall, you know, a couple of blacksmiths will definitely work there who honestly give you one of the best swords in the game. Or honestly,
Frogs
one of the best.
Want to throw you a concert.
Yeah, if we have frogs to throw you a concert, but I definitely love the blacksmith, especially one of them would just like. I love it.
That's my favorite dude in Snowhead.
I know, he's just like.
Oh, a customer.
Is it? Oh, a customer. But yeah, honestly, with bargaining, you know, again, there's stuff going on because this is definitely important. So the people who live in Goron Village know about a Goron champion, a Goron hero by the name of Darmani the Third, and everybody knows him and loves him. They adore him. They worship him. Everybody loves him. Like he's definitely is praised by the people. So, you know, after going to Snowhead Temple to investigate some strange activity coming from that area, he falls out. He gets caught up in a blizzard, which of course turns out to be that giant Bigoron who's doing all that blowing around, and he dies. And then when the Gorons definitely claim his wound and they bury him, we just see the spirit of Darmani just standing there in the distance right by the Goron village, like sometime after you acquire the lens of truth, and he's not willing to accept fate. He's not willing to accept that he is dead. Because he's bargaining. He's bargaining and saying like, "Hey, it's like, hey, I'm begging you, like, like I don't want my people to think that I'm dead. Like, can you go into my sin, and heal my sorrows, heal my soul, and it's like, be like, hey, can you just be me, and just tell these people that I'm still alive and I'm not dead." And then the moment that you get the Goron mask and you leave, like a couple of the Gorons are standing there outside, and it's like, Darbani. It's like, wait, you're alive? I thought you were dead. But if you're here, then whose body did I put in the tombstone? And then honestly, because you are playing Darmani, you're trying to keep this dude's spirit alive. You're helping out with the Goron baby who can't see his father because he's definitely stuck in the snow somewhere, and then he's like, "Oh, my son's crying because he misses me." And you definitely help calm the situation. But I can definitely see another form of bargaining is the Goron who's sitting on that cliff wearing the Dongiro mask, and he's like, "Oh, thank goodness you're here! Like, hey, can you give me some rock sirloin? Oh, I am so starving. Like, can you he's like, if you brought me, if only you brought me some rock sirloin, I will feel so much better." And he's bargaining. He's saying like, come on, if only I had some rock sirloin, I'd be good. And then when you give it to him, he's like, "Oh, I feel so great. I feel so good." I was like, "Oh, here's a cool mask, by the way. Bye."
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. So what about you, Sora? What's your take on bargaining in Majora's Mask?
You pretty much touched up on what I was going to touch up on. So,
but do you have any additional comments that you want to add?
No, not really. You practically covered everything that I was going to say there.
But so do you agree with all that, with whole bargaining, like the whole with Darmani, being that sort of character who's like, yeah, like, hey, please pretend to be me. And then that other Goron who's just like, hey man, give me some rock sirloin, I'll be good.
Yeah. That Goron cracks me up. I will make one comment about Darmani, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
I find it interesting that even when you see his ghost, you literally see the wound that he still had.
Yeah, you really do. It's a really nice piece of detail too.
Just goes to show he carries that wound with him.
Yeah, he carries it, and then and the fact that when you come out of the cave wearing the mask, the nice piece of detail is that you yourself wearing the mask, you don't have it.
Yep.
You don't have the wound.
You don't have it, but his spirit does.
Exactly. And it's just really sad because, Darmani lived a pretty good life. He had a group of people who definitely were like family to him. He this guy literally had a home until his life got taken up. And then now he's bargaining a little child to be like, "Hey, just pretend to be me, and like, can you tell these people I'm not dead?"
Poor dude.
Yeah.
Lost everything.
I will say I do like the two Gorons who stand outside and it's like, "Oh, Darmani, you're dead, but wait, if you are here, then whose body did I put in the tombstone?"
I find that so funny, but so sad at the same time, because if only they knew.
Oh, brother. Oh, my God. But I think we've covered bargaining.
Yeah, we covered it pretty well.
All right. So, this is definitely one of the biggest ones. And Sora, I definitely will let you start things off. As for the next topic for one of the 5 stages of grief, we are going to be discussing depression.
Oh boy, depression. Everyone's old friend. So, depression. The area that represents depression is Great Bay. And the most obvious example of this is Lulu.
Yes.
She is so depressed she can't sing, she won't talk, she won't do nothing, all because her eggs, her unborn babies, were literally stolen. Like, 3 of them were literally lost, like, out in the Pinnacle Rock, while the other 4 were trapped inside the pirate's fortress. Because, pirates are greedy.
Yeah.
They wanted to sell them for money and whatnot, but this broke her so badly, and, like, who can blame her? She was on the verge of becoming a mother, only for her eggs to get stolen. But aside from her, there is another character that comes to mind with depression, and we actually talked about this character earlier.
Oh.
I don't think many people associate this character with depression in Majora's Mask, but I do.
Okay, go for it.
The Deku Butler.
Yes.
He is very depressed over the loss of his son still. Not only does he mention his son whenever you race him, and of course, he sees Link and he's reminded of his son from the race. But at the end of the game during the credits, you literally see him trembling in front of a dead Deku corpse that is believed to be his son, still mourning over him. Like, that's more than mourning to me. He's still full on depressed that his son was murdered. Like, he never got over it.
Yeah.
And this is a common theory that many people know. But I think one of the reasons that Link reminds the Deku Butler of his son is because of the Deku mask. And you pretty much know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
It's a common theory that the Deku mask actually is embodying the spirit of the Deku Butler's son. There's no proof of that, technically. But at the same time, there's a lot of evidence of it. But those 2 characters in particular, Lulu and the Deku Butler, I associate with depression.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely 100% agree with you on that. There's a lot of key points because if I may, I definitely do want to add on that there are other characters who also go through depression and are very upset, and they are sad, they're overwhelmed. Definitely one of them, you bring up an interesting point, like Lulu, who's about to be a mother, and she's also as part of a band, to the fact that she has all her eggs stolen, and that's just really sad. Like, you have your eggs that are stolen by a group of pirates, and then one that are almost about to be a sea snake's lunch. But I do actually. Yes, go ahead.
I was gonna say I do actually have one more, well, technically 2 more characters in mind as well.
Go ahead,
but
go for it.
I get the feeling you were about to touch on the characters, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you say just in case, because I just want to see if I'm right.
Okay, yeah, I was definitely gonna bring in some more. Who else was also suppressed? I would say Mikau himself, the Zora guitarist. Because when you talk to him, he feels, when you talk to him, you learn about you hear his song, he feels like a complete failure. Like, he's all washed up, no pun intended, because he was found on the beach. But he's all completely washed up. He's like, oh man, I failed, my girl, I couldn't find her eggs, and I failed. I tried to get them back, but I failed, and now I'm dead. And he's like beating himself up over it. But then another group of people who are worried are the fellow band members. Like, you have like the drummer who's worried. You have the drummer. Tito. You have Jappas, the bass guitar player, and Evan, the band leader himself. And they're like, Mikau, where have you been, man? Wait, we were worrying about you. Did you get the eggs back? We got so worried into thinking like something bad happened to you. Like, the other bandmates are also worried because, they care about, their groove. They want to get rehearsal done because they're going to be performing at the Carnival of Time. So they want to make sure that everybody's here and everyone's ready to go, and also they're concerned for Lulu, who also lost her voice and she feels like that she can't sing, despite with everything that is going on. Some other key points in terms of characters who are definitely are depressed is if you don't complete or work on the Anju and Cafe side quest, Anju herself is depressed because because ever since, you know, Cafe, you know, he went through a phase to where he got cursed by the Skull Kid. You know, Anju herself is feeling, she's feeling sad, and she's going through a state of loneliness, thinking like she's never gonna see her true love ever again. And what is the only thing that she cares about more than anything else? More than what her family think, more than just running the Stop Pot Inn. All she cares about is finding her lover. She wants to be reunited with him, but she can't find him. She has no idea that he's cursed. And yet even Kafi himself saying like, is like, as much as I want to confront Anju, I'm so embarrassed myself to even confront her because I don't think she's going to take me for who I am. And we'll definitely touch up on that for a little bit when we get to Acceptance, the last one. A lot of characters that we get upset, like for example, like the farm girls. Honestly, one of the best characters in the entire game, Romani and Crimea. These are just two girls who live and tend a ranch on their own. I mean, yeah, you know, you have like the dog lady who works at the dog racetrack. You have like the guy who's just the guy Grog who's just upset. He's like, oh, you know, these cuckoos, they're just baby chicks, but as soon as they're not going to be adult and grown up. You know, he's all depressed and he's bummed out about that. And the older sister Crimea, who's like in denial, I forgot, was thinking about like, yeah, we know, like, yeah, right, these aliens are not going to come in. You're talking bunch of bullshit. You're talking nonsense. And then when she finds out that her sister's been taken, and then she comes back to where like her brain feels like where Romani's brain is like all brainwashed. You know, even, you know, Crimea definitely goes through a phase. She's like, why didn't I believe my little sister? And look what's happened to her. I'm worried about her. You know, and like, I'm trying to think of something else. Like, but all these characters definitely go to different phases. Like, heck, even Kamaro himself goes through phases. Like, oh, please heal my soul. You know, teach some of my dance moves and all this other nonsense. But I feel like what I'm definitely going at, Sora, is that a lot of these characters are going through a different phase. You know, especially like the little girl whose father is a ghost researcher in Ikana. You know, like, you know, she's worried about her father, who's just really upset. You know, so she's definitely going through a phase. Honestly, there's quite a few number of characters who just really go through a phase of like depression and sadness. Like, heck, and I'm definitely gonna bring back Anju once again to where like, to where even like it's sad to like where like the mother's like say, hey, your little boyfriend, you know, the one who's supposed to get you, you know what? You should forget about him. It's over. And she's upset about it. Poor girl.
She would have been a good one to bring up in anger.
Oh yeah, Anju's mother.
She would have been a good one to bring up in anger. I can't believe I didn't think of that.
But did I miss anything, or was that like one of the characters that you were thinking of that I already said?
Crimea was one of the characters, but there's one aspect of it you did not cover that I will talk about. But yes. I will say this though before I go on to that. Anju's mother, in her anger, which I'm not going back to the anger, I'm just kind of using it as a focal point here. I believe she's also partially causing Anju's depression because of how she's taking her anger out on her.
Yeah. Yeah, she's, you know, because you know, like Anju and the family, you know, they all they care about is just running the business, you know, like running the Stop Pot Inn. Even though, you know, not that many customers just stay there. You're like, yeah, like sometimes like the twin jugglers, yeah, they stay there. The Guru guy, the Goron, who definitely has your name, you know, and then
unless she still has reservation.
Exactly. Yes, and then also you have like these two people who are going through who are raising like an elderly woman who, to me, I think is going through some sort of dementia, you know, because she's like who's that, you know, who's that, like, is that you, Tortoise, you know,
Yeah.
No, I could be wrong on that. You know, if she's someone who's, I'm talking about the grandmother, by the way. If she's somebody who's going through
No,
dementia,
I know.
but like
Well,
because I know she also calls a lot of people tortoise, especially Link. She's like, oh, tortoise, have you finished, Father? Would you like for me to read you a story?
I think some of the quote-unquote dementia is an act.
Oh, so you think it might be an act?
Mm-hmm. And the reason I think that is because if you actually read her diary, she actually admits she does a lot of the stuff on purpose, especially when it comes to Anju's cooking.
You know what? It's quite funny because I've actually have never read the grandmother's diary.
Go read the diary. There are some interesting stuff in there.
But is there anything you wanted to add on, Sora, about depression?
With Crimea specifically, there is one thing I don't think you covered. I did kind of miss part of it,
Okay,
admittingly, but
go for it.
with Crimea, this is if you do complete the thing with the aliens and whatnot, and Romani does not get taken. She asks you to ride back to Clocktown with her to deliver the milk, right?
Yeah.
During part of this ride, of course, before you get attacked by the Gorman brothers, she is venting to Link about a lot of stuff, and there's actually a lot of proof that she is jealous of Anju because she had a crush on Cafe. And that jealousy I feel like that jealousy causes her some of her depression as well, because of the fact that Cafe is marrying Anju, not her. But she on top of that feels a lot of grief because it's just her and her sister and their parents are gone. And she's having to basically raise Romani like all on her own on top of taking care of the ranch. And I feel like in some ways Romani even feels depression a lot of the time.
Yeah, they're completely overwhelmed because it's just two girls who are just completely young. They're men and taking care of a ranch on their own, and with like you said, with Crimea, she's definitely is, not only does she have to help out of the ranch, and even though she's a big sister to Romani, she also has to play as like a motherly figure towards her, where she's like Romani, you're not like on day 2 where it was like, oh, I want to go. It was like, Romani wants to go with you to Clocktown to deliver the milk. No, you're gonna stay here and mend the cows. Yes, sister. She has like that motherly like tone, to where she has to play both, like be a farmhand and be like a big sister and a mother figure to Romani.
Yeah. But like I also feel like Romani feels depressed a lot as well, because it honestly feels like a lot of the time Crimea doesn't really want to include her in a lot of stuff, which I guess she's a little kid. But you have to look at it from Romani's perspective. She's, of course, very energetic. She always like tries to put a smile on and stuff. But not Romani. Crimea kind of shuts Romani down a lot, and you can see the frown on her face every single time.
Yeah.
It's kind of heart-wrenching. It really is.
Yeah, it's so sad. That poor girl.
Because, honestly, I can understand why Crimea does some of it, because, Romani brings up the aliens and whatnot. Of course, he's going to think that's a child's imagination. But Romani knows that it's real because she's, dealt with it.
Yeah.
And, of course, when night of the first day comes, you actually have to help her with it.
Mm-hmm.
Then when she wants to go to Clocktown to, run along with her when she's delivering the milk, Crimea shuts her down. She's not allowed to go. Which of course makes her sad again, and she's left at the ranch by herself. During all of Crimea's deliveries, this happens quite often. Most people don't think about that.
Yeah.
During every one of her deliveries, Romani's never allowed to go, so she's left by herself a lot. And I don't know if you know this, but if you stay behind and talk to Romani in Majora's Mask whenever Crimea goes to deliver the milk, you can actually kind of tell how depressed she is about it whenever you try to talk to her.
Yeah. she's also very depressing, especially for a little kid, like to definitely go through like a phase like that. So I definitely do understand where she's coming from. Now, honestly, this is a joke comment I'm about to make, but I can tell you, I know who doesn't make her depressed, and that is Link. Because like the first thing you meet her, when you talk to the house, when you go inside her house, she's like, "Oh, nice to meet you. You're cute."
He's our little hero.
And she's like, she's like, "You're cute," and his sister's like, "Stop that." Yes, sister.
But there is one more reason. There is one more reason I associate depression with Romani.
Okay.
She is the perfect example of what a lot of people do with depression. Try to hide it behind a smile.
Yeah, and you know what? And I wanted to bring up something else, and I was thinking about it. So, and I think we've talked about this before in the past, Sora. So if you actually put on the cafe mask and you talk to Romani, she puts on a sad face. She's like, "Oh, that mask. You know that kind." She's like, "You know that kind of reminds me of a boy that my sister has a big crush on in town, but he's actually is marrying somebody else." So she knows. So the fact that she knows that her big sister has a crush on a man who is marrying another woman, it's sad that she knows that, like a kid her age, she knows that that's what her sister is dealing with.
Yep, so on top of feeling depressed about everything I already mentioned, she feels depressed knowing how her sister feels about it.
Yeah.
So she's feeling two types of depression if you really think about it, and trying to hide all of it behind a smile.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, and honestly, I think she's one of the strongest characters in the entire game of Majora's Mask. Like, honestly, to me, like, the Ranch Girls there definitely are, like, at their best. Like, I think they're one of the best characters in the entire game. But you know who else goes through sadness? Skull Kid.
Do tell.
I forgot to bring up Skull Kid. Because at the beginning of the game, like, yeah, this is a character who goes through a lot of loneliness because he didn't have that many friends. He definitely felt a source of abandonment when he thinks all the giants left and ditched him, and he felt that he was all alone, and all he had to deal with was just two fairy companions who he felt like can just comfort him and make it feel like to a point where it's like, yeah, you know, everything's gonna be okay, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Skull Kid is like the ultimate form of depression in Majora's Mask. It really is.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, you kind of touched on it already, but if you listen to one of the grandma's stories, she's talking about the four giants and whatnot.
Yeah, Skull Kid is involved in that story.
Yep, he is. And if you pay careful attention to it, and of course, like, the story as a whole, you can literally see how abandoned the Skull Kid actually feels. And it was to the point to where he actually left Termina once. I watched a video on this recently. He actually left Termina once, and then not recently, but like, he went back shortly afterwards, and after going back, he was still, you know, all by himself and whatnot, hiding under the big wooden arch, and that's when Tattle and Tail find him, and he finally, you know, feels happiness for the first time in a long time. But he still harbors that abandonment in his heart, still feeling depressed over the giants basically, you know, tossing him aside. And whenever he takes his pranks too far and he finds, you know, the happy mask salesman and steals the mask, all of that depression that he felt just kind of like comes out, and that's what fuels the mask.
Yeah, and honestly, even before he discovered Majora's Mask, it's like he's putting on a mask himself. You know, like, he's just this overall trickster who's just like, who feels like he doesn't have to suffer through loneliness, and I feel like that pulling pranks and tricks on people it's like to cover up that sort of depression that he himself actually deals with. You know,
it's funny you put it that way, because I actually look at depression as a mask.
Yeah. 100% agree.
It's a very sad mask to wear, but unfortunately a lot of people wear that mask, and a lot of people try to hide it.
Yeah, it's definitely a really sad topic, though. You know, because a lot of people nowadays, you know, they definitely go to that sort of phase, you know, and they definitely find ways how they can cope through it. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Agreed. So I think we've touched up on depression already, or do we leave anything out?
No, I think we kind of extensively covered this topic.
Yeah, there is a lot. So yeah, that is definitely one of the four. So Sora, I will also let you start off with the final stage of grief, and that is acceptance. Take it away.
Acceptance, which is represented by the final area, Ikana Canyon. And, oh boy, Ikana Canyon is probably one of the most interesting areas in the entire freaking series. Like, if you pay attention to the lore of the entire game, this one is probably the richest one. Because, like, you got the ancient castle of Ikana. The bottom of the well is in itself interesting. It might not sound interesting on paper, but there's some interesting stuff down there. You got Stone Tower and Stone Tower Temple. You got all this other crap. You got Seikon and his freaking lair there, which, of course, has a mask that he stole. But the fact that that area is even there is kind of interesting. You got the spirits that kind of like wander there, and of course, I'm blanking on what they're called, the Garros.
The Garros,
yeah. The Garros inhabit that place. Like, I'm kind of like jumping all over the place with it, but there's so much there.
Yeah.
But when it comes to acceptance, though, one of the biggest examples of acceptance in that area is the King of Ikana.
Oh, Ego Ziukana.
Yes. I look at him as the biggest form of acceptance, and here's why I say that. You go through his entire area, right? Like, after, you know, finding the mirror shield on the bottom of the well and all that other crap.
Yes.
You fight him, you face him in battle, you defeat him. His two servants, I forget their names all the time.
Yeah, I kind of forget it too. I just call them the lackeys.
I'm just gonna call them Thing 1 and Thing 2, screw it. Thing 1 and Thing 2, they fight at each other, or because, you know, they're calling each other weak. He literally intervenes, tells both of them to shut up.
Oh yeah, because it's like feeble.
Yep. And he literally acknowledges Link after he's defeated, accepting the outcome, and literally showing a warrior's way of defeat, and giving him the key to, you know, ascending the tower. But the way he handles accepting his loss is probably one of the best ways of handling something like that ever shown in a Zelda game. Before I dive too much into that, I want to know your thoughts on that.
You know, I actually do like that because, you know, because when you do think about it, like because like let's take place for a moment, because I want to also point out that there are other characters outside of Ikana, who definitely deal with the fact of acceptance, but I want to tackle on Ikana first. So Ikana Canyon, this is definitely like the land of the dead. You know, like, it just screams death. You have, like, the canyon, you have the graveyard, and honestly, this is just a place that just screams death. You know, like, you mentioned Seikon, the thief, you know, having his own, like, having his own hideout. The Garros who just roam the lands, the Gibdo that wander around the music boss house, but also, there is just acceptance just plagued everywhere around Ikana. Like, one thing I want to bring up is the little girl Pamela. Like, she definitely knows that her father, who's a ghost researcher, she got cursed and he's part Gibdo. But despite with everything that's going on, like, even though it's kind of hard for her to face that outcome, you know, she's definitely is willing to accept it. She's willing to accept it, like, you know, this is my father now. He's cursed, you know. I'm not gonna kick him out of the house or anything. Like I still love and care about my father, and I accept him for who he is. Even though she definitely locks him in the closet, but she definitely feels like she's gonna have to accept it. And honestly, acceptance is one of the hardest things that anybody can definitely deal with. And another form of acceptance I definitely want to bring up are the composer brothers. Like when you speak to the first one, Flat, the one who teaches you the Song of Storms, he feels a lot of pain and sorrow in his heart, thinking like, oh, my poor dear brother Sharp, who sold his soul to the devil. He's still my brother to me, no matter what kind of phase that he's going through. I still care about him, but I want him to know that with this song, that these are my tears to express how I feel, and I accept him for who he is. And then when you play that song for Sharp, you know, he definitely starts to feel it. He starts accepting his own fate, thinking like, oh, like you who do not fear the dead, you know, you're willing to do this and find out the secrets and the mysteries that go on. Another character who definitely accepts death is Captain Skullkita. When you find Skullkita, what's up?
It's fun. I was gonna say I was gonna actually bring him up as well, but
So Skullkita definitely is a character who definitely accepts death. You know, we find his corpse sleeping outside of Dampe's house, and like, you know, he's saying like, oh, when you go back to the area, tell him that the war is over. And he says this line where he's like, Captain Sir, may I take leave, sir? To where, you know, Link does the whole salute, and he's like, yes, sir, and he accepts death. And like, and honestly, you know, when you think about Majora's Mask as a whole, like with everything that's going on, like this game, not only does it symbolize mostly the 5 stages of grief, but this is literally like accepting the confrontation of death. Like a lot of people feel like they either are in denial, or they feel like that they are, no matter what's going on, what the outcome is or whatever, they are willing to accept death. And it's just really, really freaking sad. And I've seen a lot of people who say that Stone Tower is definitely a representation of death, because like the more you climb to the tower, it shows like how close you are to the skies, especially when you flip the tower and it's completely inverted and you see like the sky that's right below your feet. Like a lot of people say that that's mostly is like a resemblance to acceptance of like Link definitely accepting his fate or whatever. And I've seen a lot of people touch up on that, and so like Majora's Mask as a whole, and like Ikana Canyon or just anywhere, like all the people of Termina, like this is like a major symbolism of people accepting the confrontation of death. And one thing I do want to point out is I'm definitely gonna get out of Ikana Canyon because there are some characters who are accepting death, and I want to definitely give a shout out to the couple in Majora's Mask, Andre and Cafe. So even though they know that they have a wedding ceremony going on, and they are aware about the situation on the moon is going to crash down and like literally destroy and kill everybody, these two lovebirds were able to, like the last few hours of Termina, they were able to exchange their vows and just say like, yeah, we have officially become a couple, and we will see in the morning. We know what is going on, but we are willing to accept it because we are going to be together. And another thing I wanted to point out is if you complete the ranch quest, like you defeat the aliens, and all that, when you go inside the barn, you talk to the little girl. When you talk to the girls, Romani and Cremia, they you see like Cremia, she's being a big sister. She's comforting her. She said, Romani, it's gonna be okay tonight. I want you to sleep with me tonight, okay? And and one thing that she states, you say, tell you what, I know these are definitely the last hours, and I know you're young, but I want to say that I'm proud of you. You become a strong woman. So you know what? How would you like to try some Chateau Romani, which of course in Zelda, it's considered to be like another way of describing alcohol, because it's only like only for adults, only for people who wear the Romani mask can buy this item. It's kind of like an ID, like Romani mask is like a symbol, is like a symbolism of an ID, like to buy alcohol, to buy beer,
Well,
and
it's funny. It's funny that you actually say that because in the Japanese version of Majora's Mask, it's actually confirmed that it's alcohol. The
well, yeah,
North American
yeah,
version
it is.
actually, yeah, the North American version, like quote unquote, removes the alcohol. But come on, we know what it is.
Yeah, we know about Chateau Romani. And one thing I also wanted to add, like, there's a scene on the last day where the girls are just so happy, they're smiling, they're walking on the barn, and they say, "We're going to accept the day for tomorrow, so we'll see you tomorrow." And it's just, it's so sad. Like
The first
that even though that they love each other as sisters, they're accepting it.
the first all that scene, I legit about broke. I was like, oh my lord. Like the way they put that was heart wrenching.
It's so sad, dude. It's really, really sad. But I want to know what is your other takes on acceptance in Majora's Mask?
You practically covered them, actually, if I'm being honest. But there was actually one touch I was going to add with Captain Kiedis.
Okay, go for it.
Uh, you ca- you kind of like mentioned it, but you didn't like specify the symbol, the symbolic nature of this. Literally, the very moment Captain Keto looks at Link and just gives that salute right there was the very moment his acceptance happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, in Link's case, when he does the salute, he receives that acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course he gets the mask and whatnot. But also, you kind of touched on this as well. But with Stone Tower Temple is the perfect, and I mean the perfect example of the game's overall message: accepting death. You've already touched on it.
Yes.
But I want to point this out for Stone Tower Temple, like specifically, because all of Iconic Canyon is, the land of the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Stone Tower Temple is like the pinnacle of it, if you will. Like, how can I put it? It's basically the capital of the area. Let's put it like that.
Yes.
So, entering it, especially with how high it is, it's kind of like Zelda's way of ascending to the heavens as you go up the tower. And once you invert the temple as well, you see nothing but endless sky beneath you. I know you've already touched on this, but hear me out. Seeing that endless sky as you flip the temple, and of course, like the music, like shifting the way it does, it literally makes you feel like you're dead.
Yes.
And I think that was the point. It doesn't just like symbolize it, but it makes you feel it.
Yes.
Like, it was a complete shift in atmosphere. And don't even get me started on the mini boss. Not twin mold.
Twin mold. You're talking about the Garo Master.
Yeah. And I'm not even talking about him. I'm talking about the other mini boss. I'm trying to remember his name. The one with all the bats.
Oh, Gomez.
Yeah, Gomez. He's like the freaking Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
We know what the Grim Reaper is.
Yeah.
He's there to literally rob you of your life. He comes at you with a big scythe and everything, and it's like, it's like, okay, you've accepted your death. I'm here to indulge. But of course, we could have used this in denial earlier. I'm just now thinking about this, but like Link literally fighting him and kind of like defeating him is Link's way of kind of denying death, not wanting to accept it. But I kind of look at it like this. Link isn't just accepting death in this case. He's accepting the responsibility of saving everybody from death.
Yes.
And I think that's what defeating Gomez represents. Link accepting the situation for what it is. And where he's currently at, he's accepted the responsibility of saving Termina from its fate.
Yeah, that's... I agree.
And I think I can conclude my acceptance thing right there.
Okay. Yeah, that really says a lot, though. That really says a lot. You know, acceptance is definitely is something, though. But you know, I definitely agree that I think we touched up everything in terms of acceptance. But you also agree about the other characters that I said, right? With Anju, who accepted her fate, and Roma, and like the girls who like say, you know, like, oh well, we'll see you in a while.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree with all of those characters.
Man, dude, now I want to go play Majora's Mask now.
I'm seriously like wanting to hook up my Nintendo 64 and pop in my golden holographic cartridge and just like.
Hey, same. But what about? But hey, you could also play the 3DS version. Of course, I'm kidding.
We don't talk about the 3DS version.
But honestly, you know, I feel like we touched up everything. I believe we 100% covered the 5 stages of grief in Majora's Mask, which I think is awesome.
We did.
So
we did, but
yes?
I want to give one final interesting note on the 5 stages of grief before wrapping up.
Do it.
So, naturally, of course, like looking at the map, you're not gonna really notice this because you don't really like go to these areas in this order. But the 5 stages of grief in itself, in terms of the direction that you're doing this with, you know, like denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance and whatnot. I don't know if you ever noticed this, but I think one of the reasons Clocktown got the name that it has is because you are literally dealing with all of these in a literal clock pattern. Like, you got denial, that's the center of it all. And around the clock, you got the first stage. The halfway point of the clock, you got anger, then you got bargaining, then depression, and acceptance, going in a clock order.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually is pretty interesting. I like that.
Yeah. I know they did that on purpose.
I know. Aonuma. Why?
Aonuma, you madman.
Aonuma, you madman, but... good old Aonuma. We love that man.
Yes, we do.
But anyway, you know, I believe we covered everything. So, honestly, Sora, with everything that we talked about, I still think everybody should still play Majora's Mask. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. I definitely agree.
I 100% agree. But also, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for joining me on the show, but I also want to thank everybody who is watching this video. Thank you all so much for tuning in.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, let's meet back here next time on July 3rd as I'm going to be covering one of the most interesting topics that a lot of people have been talking about on the internet. So, a lot of people, and I'm sure you picked this up, Sora, but a lot of people nowadays have been discussing on the whole Ocarina of Time getting a remake. And it's honestly was because of the whole discussion that a lot of people talk about by the username of Nate the Hate, who's been saying like, oh, this is coming out, and the fact that because like, oh, you know, we got a new Star Fox game and a remake of Ocarina of Time is going to be happening. So a lot of people are like believing that this is going to be a thing because we do have a new Star Fox game that comes out in about like 22 days from now from the time of this recording.
Yeah, definitely. You pretty much know my thoughts on that already, but the only thing I'm going to say here is take all leaks with a grain of salt until proven otherwise.
Yeah,
But that's just me.
and hey, and maybe we'll see, like, if we get a Nintendo Direct during this month of June, or somewhere down the line, we will see for ourselves. But yeah, that is going to be the topic. That's going to be the topic for next time. Does Ocarina of Time need to be remade or remastered? Does it need to do that? So we'll be talking about that for next time. And until then, guys, if you guys are new to the channel, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, as it really helps me out. You should definitely subscribe if you are a Zelda fan. But anyway, Sora, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I'm glad that you were able to come on the show tonight, or today.
Thank you for the invite. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I live to talk about Majora's Mask.
Yeah, you live and breathe it.
Yes.
You live and breathe. But until then, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
Bye bye.